Welcome once again to Let's Talk More. Today my studio guest is Gabby from Cool As Leicester. Let's find out more. Stay tuned. Let's talk more with Romail Gulzar. Gabby, welcome to Let's Talk More. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, it's a pleasure. Good to see you after a long time.
I know. I feel like it's nice to be out and about and meeting people again.
Are you happy? Lockdown's bit relax.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping that the next steps will go as planned. I think for anyone that works in things like we do, seeing everywhere open up again, it's been such a relief.
Before we go to Cool As Leicester,
Yeah.
love to know a bit more about Gabby. Just tell about yourself, please.
Well, I grew up in Leicestershire, moved away for university, so went up to Leeds, actually studied law. Not sure why, looking back. I think I just thought it was probably a decent degree to go and get, and then moved down to London, and then eventually moved back to Leicester when I was kind of early mid-20s to work. I got a job working in press and publicity at De Montfort Hall, and then that's kind of how I started working in this area, really.
So Gabby studied law. Why switch to PR marketing?
Well, I think when I was at university, I always loved going out and watching concerts and gigs. And I got involved in the student newspaper, so started writing reviews and doing that. And then when I moved down to London, I did a master's down there, again, in law and criminology, but used that time really to kind of get my foot in the door at a lot of entertainment companies down there, did some more writing experience. And then that and the kind of experience within the music industry is then what kind of led me back to up here in that job.
Growing up in Leicester, being a Leicester person,
Yeah.
what was the best thing you found in Leicester?
Oh my God, well, Leicester's changed so much since then. It's unrecognisable really from when I was a kid. I mean, when we were little, so when we were teenagers, it was you kind of had roller skating on Saturdays down at Zanzibar. Don't even know what that's called now. Republic, I think. I was a big football fan, still am a big football fan, so that was a big thing on a Saturday for me and my dad to go and do. And I just think it's amazing now, and I love the fact that I get to work with so many local businesses and see how the city's thriving compared to really how it was kind of 15, 20 years ago.
Gabby, as you said, Leicester have changed quite a lot.
Yeah.
And you think Leicester business scene has been changed?
I think so. I'm going to be honest, it's not something I took much notice of when I was younger. I think it's certainly changed a lot, even from when I started working for myself. So it's 6 years now that I've been doing that. And I think to see the number of people that have set up new businesses in that time, it's pretty amazing. I think especially even in the last year with what's been going on, the number of people that have used that as an opportunity to build something and create something new is fantastic to see.
As you say, you're a football fan.
Yeah.
What's the memorable time watching Leicester City?
Well, obviously 2016, winning the Premier League. But I mean, for me, growing up, those kind of the late 90s years with Martin O'Neill, when we kind of had trips to Wembley every year, that was, I was kind of 12, 13 around that time, and it was just amazing. And I think when you look at where the team are now, you never would have imagined, back in, 1998, 97, 98, you kind of thought that's as good as it's ever going to get. And then to have it as we do now is amazing.
What's the best childhood memory in Leicester?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably going to see... In fact, I've spoken about this with a lot of people, and loads of people are like, I don't believe that actually happened. They had a film premiere over at Meridian when it was one of the Batman movies, and they did the main UK premiere, and they held it at Meridian because it was the newest Warner Brothers cinema. And I remember going down with my sister, and my mum took us down really early in the morning so we could be right at the front, mainly because we wanted to see Val Kilmer and Ryan Giggs, who were going to be at the premiere. But it was amazing, and I think the Mercury dug out some photos of it recently. And it seems crazy to think back then that they'd do a massive UK premiere in Leicester, but they did.
So you managed to get any autograph?
No, some photos. My sister was on the front of the Mercury, kind of sitting on the barrier railings and stuff. But it was a good time. Especially when you look at Meridian now, it seems crazy that, they'd have had a film premiere there.
Do you have any regret giving a full-time job starting as Cool As Leicester?
No, not at all. I think it's difficult at the time and those first steps when you decide to do it, but I certainly wouldn't change anything now.
it's quite a big challenge. You have like a job, every end of the month, you got the paycheck coming in,
Yeah.
and then coming into totally different world. And that time, media and marketing was quite a bit struggle.
Yeah.
And how challenging is for you, and how big decision for you to going into independent?
Yeah, I think really, I first set up Cool As Leicester because I think working in PR, you're constantly trying to gain coverage in different publications. And it was really just growing frustrated at the lack of media outlets that there were in Leicester. I think back then social media was very different to how it is now. So obviously you've got a rise of influencers and people on Instagram, which we didn't really have back then. And I kind of looked and I was like, there isn't anything online that's really just bringing together, food and drink, what's on, where to go, music. So I kind of thought, well, I'll just set it up myself. And then it took off really well. And was popular across different venues and businesses that I was approaching about it. And then I got approached to do some freelance work. And then I kind of saw those opportunities. And I'd been at De Montfort Hall for, like I said, about 7 years. And I think in the city, I was like, there weren't many places that I thought I'd want to go after that. So to have the chance to instead go and work for myself, I just saw as a really great opportunity.
What are you looking next 5 years? Where you would see Cool As Leicester?
I think just growing more and more, really. I think I've been quite fortunate with the lockdown because obviously I work a lot on the PR side of things as well. So I offer PR services to businesses, which is kind of under the same umbrella, but slightly different to the work that I do with Cool As Leicester. Obviously, a lot of that took a big hit with the lockdown. So I was able to really focus down and work on Cool As Leicester and building the platforms. And in that last year, we've seen Instagram followers double, Facebook followers are going up and up. We've got our weekly newsletter. So I think it's just building on that content. And I think I'd say that the platform's now in a different place to what it was a year ago. And I think I just want it to be on a level that when a new business opens up or when someone's looking at launching something, kind of Cool As Leicester comes straight to their mind of someone that they want to work with and want to be involved with.
How do you describe Cool As Leicester?
I would always say it's an online magazine just focusing on supporting independence and leisure and hospitality in Leicester and Leicestershire. Because I've always been very careful to make sure all the content that I'm putting out is genuine and genuinely promoting those little hidden gems in the businesses that I think are really great in Leicester. I think the audience now trusts the things that we put out. So they know that it's not paid for advertising. They know that if something's recommended, it's a genuine recommendation. And I think because of that, when we post about something, businesses see an increase. So they see increased traffic to their channels, they see increased visits to their restaurant or shop. And I think once that you kind of have that engagement with your audience, I think especially because now on social media, a lot of people kind of follow things mindlessly, don't they? I know that I follow no end of people, but I don't necessarily engage with all of the accounts. So to know that you have got that kind of trust between you and your audience is really key.
What's the memorable time in your company, Cool As Leicester, within 10 years? What's the most memorable time?
Oh, there's been a few things. I think with music-wise, some of the people that I've got to interview. So I'm a massive Frank Turner fan, and I got the opportunity to interview him backstage before one of his tour dates. I think probably the biggest one, being a football fan, was I got approached to help organise the team social day out. So that was a couple of years ago now, and we took all of the squad down to Treetop Golf and then out for lunch, and they wanted someone who kind of knew the city and knew the venues to just help organise and facilitate that visit. So that was a really great thing to be involved with as well.
This sort of work, this sort of business is quite kind of unsociable hours, weekend, evening. How are you coping with that?
I think I've just got used to it, to be honest. So, and I think because it's mine and because I enjoy it, it makes it a lot easier. As you'll know, kind of when you're running your own business, you don't mind putting in those extra hours because you know that it's you that's going to benefit at the end of it. And I think I'm just really passionate about building the brand and the name of Cool As Leicester that I'm happy to put those hours in. Plus, it's quite fun work, so I can't really complain.
I always say to publication or PR is labor for love. There's no value for money is more than labor for love. That's why I see, because you have to be, if you put your 9 to 5 job, this is not in the wrong business.
Absolutely.
You have to think for outside that window. We're just coming out for lockdown. Past 14 months, everybody have small to large challenges, big challenges for one. What impact lockdown had in your personal life and your business?
I think like anyone being self-employed in certain industries, it was going to have an impact. I think fortunately for me, on a personal level, I don't have children, so I wasn't having to deal with homeschooling. My partner's self-employed as well, so he carried on working throughout. So we didn't have that much of a change in that way, which I know some people face real challenge that all of a sudden they're working from home and their family life's been thrown out. So I wasn't having to deal with that. I think business-wise, obviously a lot of what I do is so dependent on businesses' marketing budgets in the terms of the PR work that I do. So that obviously took quite a hit. Fortunately, I have some ongoing clients that were really great about it. We carried on doing different pieces of work. And then I think it was just really about sitting down and finding new avenues. So talking to people that we worked with, what could we do and what would work? So for example, we spoke to the bid about, what we could do with them, and we started a video campaign about promoting the things in Leicester that were open, promoting businesses through lockdown and looking at different aspects of the city centre. So I think, like for anyone, it was just really trying to look for those little areas that you could pick out and twist what you're doing.
What is the good to come out from this lockdown?
I think probably for local businesses, I think not everyone, but I think there's been a very big increase in the whole concept of supporting local. I think some of the independent businesses and how they really work so hard to support people and, offer food deliveries and shopping and grocery deliveries to people. I'm hoping that people will really remember that and continue to support those businesses throughout. I think it really just showed the depth of connection in the community that businesses wanted to do that and wanted to stay open to service their local community.
As you're a big fan of yourself music, going out on more gigs, running Cool as Leicester, where are you seeing now Leicester's music scene?
I think it's good. I think obviously there's been some changes over lockdown. For example, the Comedy Festival have taken over the Cookie. So the Cookie was probably the city's key small music venue, really, with some of the names that it was bringing through there. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that works coming out of lockdown. I think there'll still be gigs carrying on there, and the people that were promoting for the Cookie will still be putting gigs on there and elsewhere in the city. But it'll be interesting to see how that change develops. I think the city's got some amazing small venues, so the Sound House, the Shed, the Musician, the people at the Y are programming some great stuff as well. And then we've got bands like Easy Life who are just really putting Leicester on the map again.
Cool as Leicester.
Yeah.
What do you think Leicester is really missing, we need in Leicester?
I think it's difficult with thinking what we're missing. I think there's the obvious choices, like people always say we're missing a big arena. Do we need a big arena? I possibly don't think we really do. I think there's chat of them building one at the football stadium. But I think we've got such a great music scene within. You've got De Montfort Hall and the O2 Academy who are putting things on. I really miss the days of when we had a city centre festival. So obviously when I was working at De Montfort Hall, we had Summer Sunday. And you look back on that, and I don't think we probably appreciated at the time, having a big music festival like that, literally in the middle of the city. So if I could change anything, I would certainly bring something like that back.
How are you going to describe finally your last 10 years being independent business person, Cool as Leicester?
How would I describe it? It's been a journey, but one that I've just really, really enjoyed. And I think I've been lucky to have started at a time when Leicester was going on its own path and changing so much. And I would like to think, hopefully, having a channel like Cool As Leicester has kind of helped some of those businesses go through that. I think if I'd have tried to do it a few years before, I don't think it would have worked. And I think doing it at a time when there were so many new places opening and so many changes happening, it's been just really great how it happened along those same lines, and we were able to progress with it. If I could do it again, I'd say that I would. So I'm going to take that as a positive, and I just feel very lucky to do something that I enjoy so much.
What's your message to people in a similar position? They got a full-time job, but they have a dream to follow, become independent. What's your message to them?
I would say if it's something that you can start whilst you're still working full-time, it can seem daunting to kind of work those extra hours to build something up in the background. But if you can kind of make those first steps while you've still got the security of work coming in, that's a really important thing to do, just because you can build that up and it'll give you that confidence to jump straight into it. I think if you've got a dream and if you genuinely think it's something that can work, absolutely go for it, because you don't want to look back and regret. And it probably depends how much you enjoy your job as well. But certainly if you're going to work in a 9-to-5 job, not really enjoying it, and have this dream that you think you can set up and seems a realistic prospect, I would absolutely urge anyone to go for it.
Gabby, thank you very much for speaking to us. It's a pleasure. And I hope very soon we soon Cool as Leicester in different way and out and about or in events. And we wish you best of luck the next 5 year or 10 year, many years to come. Cool as Leicester grow in the city and city grow with Cool as Leicester. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy listening to Gabby's stories and learn something new. As Gabby said, if you have a passion, pursue it. Be a game changer. I'll be back next week with a new guest, new life story. Stay tuned. Let's talk more with Romail Gulzar.